Welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Senaparatna. Grab your favorite drink, get yourself a snack, and we'll get started. Should I pause there for a minute so you can go do that, or are you really not doing that? Okay, so today I have Ceylon Supreme Tea. I got it in Sri Lanka. I pray for pastors' wives when I drink it. It's just a good day all around. And I have a nectarine because you know what I craved when I was in Spain? Nuts and fruit. I don't know why, but that's what I did. So let's get real. I am going to talk about our trip to Spain. Now, I'm going to talk about the 3 pain points of travel for Kevin and I, and talk about how they happened in Spain. All right, you ready for this? So when we were going to Spain, it was an experiment trip. Like we were going to see what God would do and if this would work for us because we've done a lot of different kinds of trips and we wanted to do a content creating prayer and then we spoke some too. So it was going to be a whole thing. We were moving from place to place. So there were only 2 times that we stayed in a hotel more than once. And all the other 12 days, we moved from hotel to hotel because we wanted to see a lot of different places, pray across the country, and do content across the country. So we had a lot of movement. And so the Monday before we left on a Wednesday, my husband hurt his back. And I am telling you, that puts a monkey wrench into everything. But it's okay. So the one thing that we do on trips, we've been traveling for 20 years as a ministry. And so I can tell you very confidently what we're really bad at. And we're really bad at getting lost. That is something that is my fault. I know it's my fault. Because I have like a inner sense of how I should be driving or going, and I am always wrong. So if I tell you we are at a retail store and there are 3 lines full of people and you have to choose which line you think is going to go fastest, go in the opposite line that I choose. Just FYI, because I'm always wrong. No matter. So if I think that's the right line, I will have to go to an opposite line and then I'm wrong because I was I'm never right. This is not a thing for me. So we have been lost in more places. Every country we've ever been to, almost every state we've been to, we get lost. It is just part of our charm. We have been lost walking the streets for hours with our luggage on cobble streets, trying to figure out how to get to our hotel, not speaking the language. So this time I said, I'm not doing that. I just cannot be lost in Spain. We have too many places to go, we had so much, it was such a jam-packed time that it was not a vacation. You know how you go on vacation and you're like, it really doesn't matter if I get lost. This mattered. We had so many places to go and so many timelines. So I was like, we can't do that. So we ordered a hotspot, pocket internet is what they call it. And we picked it up at the airport. Did we get lost trying to find it? Yes, we did. We totally got lost trying to find it. Did I have a map? Did I have all of the right things? Yes, I did. Did that matter? No, it did not. But we did end up finding it eventually and got ourselves connected to the internet in the middle of the airport, which was great because I don't like to pay for that cell service overseas. So our phones are on airplane mode the entire time. That is just the way we travel because even when you turn them on, sometimes you just don't get the reception and it's such a nightmare. So this way we have internet the entire time. We ordered our cab. We both downloaded, I think I downloaded Uber, he downloaded Cabify. We'd check which one was cheaper. And because my husband hurt his back and we each had a backpack and a carry-on. That's what we had for the 12 days. So I am pretty creative when it comes to being able to pack. So I actually had almost a half a suitcase for souvenirs because I had so much space in my suitcase going over. Yay! And did I fill it? Not 100%, but that's okay. That's another story for another day. But we got in our cab. It was super inexpensive. We got to the hotel. So we did that quite a bit. And actually never got lost except for when I was in Morocco because I didn't have internet because my pocket internet did not work in a foreign country because I was in Africa and Morocco instead of in Spain. So it was like, we don't work here. Oh well. But so that's the time I did get lost. But we really never got lost, which was so amazing. It just like made the trip so much easier because we knew where we were going and we could look things up and it was just like, I was like, we're never not doing this again because it was super cheap. I think it was like $45 for the 12 days, which may seem like a lot of money, but when you're supposed to pay $10 per person every single day for like your international coverage, so much cheaper. Just amazing. Anyway, so I would recommend 100%. Second pain point, hotels. Now, you have heard my stories. We are not good at picking out hotels. It is not something that I'm gifted at. It is something that I tend to look at the price tag before I look at anything else. And I've tried to change that a little bit because I'm trying to be like, I will not stay anywhere with a 3 rating ever again, 3 out of 10. Like it needs to at least be a 7 on the rating scale or I will not go there. I'm trying to get there, but you know it's more expensive the bigger the rating, right? So I did a bunch of stuff this time and you book the hotels completely by guessing. Like you really have no idea what kind of hotel it really is. We stayed in mom and pop shops. Only one time did we stay in a like regular kind of hotel that we like a brand name, and that was because we had a free night, so we stayed there for free. But that was the only time we stayed in like a brand name. The rest were like mom and pop shops that were small little boutique shops. And you just don't know what you're going to get. Like you honestly have no idea. In the States, overseas, you just have no clue. And I am telling you, God was so amazing. Okay, so we went to this town in Avila. It's called Avila, Spain. And it is a really small little town. And they have a fortified wall that was built like thousands, like hundreds and like a long time ago. I can't tell you when. I think the church was over 300 years old. So the town, anyway, it doesn't really matter. It was built a very long time ago. And we stayed in the castle that was connected to the wall. Like a bucket list item. We've always wanted to stay in a castle. It met every tick for me. I was like, this is amazing. Yes, yes, yes. And they upgraded us when we got there because it was Kevin's 50th birthday. So we stayed in like this gorgeous room. We ate their breakfast and I was like, this is amazing. It was right on the wall. It was just phenomenal. Like you found it on the internet and you're like, how did we find this? This is great. And it wasn't expensive. That was the best part about all the hotels because we were there in the off season. Nobody, I guess, goes to Spain in February. I don't know why. But it was like super cheap stuff. Another hotel was in Cordoba. So Cordoba has this thing that was built in the 500s, a mosque that was built in the 500s. Like I can't even wrap my brain around how old that is. And in the 1200s, the Crusades came through and the Catholics took over this mosque and made it into a cathedral. And there were 2 gates that went into this like courtyard that then went into the mosque/cathedral. And our hotel was right outside. Like we were in their courtyard. It was so close. It was ridiculous. It was the weirdest, funkiest hotel I've ever stayed in, but it was super convenient, super clean, and it was amazing. The first hotel we stayed in, we were right on the plaza, Sol Plaza. It was incredible. I could not even believe the hotel room that we had. It was just like the Lord just provided in so many amazing ways that you were just like, one had like a rooftop that we went to that you could see over the city. And I was like, this one I chose because it was the pickup spot for our tour. Because I was going to Morocco. We were both going to go to Morocco. But it was like the pickup spot for this tour. And I was like, well, we'll just stay at the hotel because the pickup was supposed to be like at 6 a.m. And I'm like, I don't really want to travel through the streets at like 5 a.m. So let's just stay in the hotel. It was super inexpensive. I think it was like $40 that night. And it was just ridiculously beautiful. It was like one of those pain points that you're like, we had no pain points in that area. God was so faithful. And I think it was because I stayed above a 7-star. So I have learned my lesson. Lesson number 2, learned. Pain point number 3, food. Now, we are the kind of people that have our food planned out for dinner for the month. I make a month by month schedule. I used to do a week. I've moved it back to a month. It works better for me emotionally, I think. And I make a plan for the month. That's what we're eating. We don't have to make the decision. Done. Saturdays, we eat at Subway when we're going to a church. Just the way it is when we're out of town. The only time we eat out really is for when we're leaving town. We don't even eat out for like special occasions. I will make a really special meal, which is normally lasagna. Because that's my favorite. Anyway, and so when we're overseas, you have to make decisions for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I hate making food decisions. And I don't like eating fast food overseas. And I don't like eating out, but you don't really have a choice because we're staying in mom and pop shops. We're not staying in Airbnb. So you have to find food. Now, one thing that I love to do, no matter what country I'm in or even a state, I love to go to the McDonald's and see what they're offering. Because McDonald's are different from place to place. I don't know if you knew this, but it is so intriguing So we were walking around one night. There are thousands of people out because it was the first time that any sun was out in like 6 weeks, from what we understood. And it was wall-to-wall people. Like, I have never been anywhere other than Japan that had so many people. It was just wall-to-wall people. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, let's go into the McDonald's. And Kevin was like, I'm really not hungry. And I'm like, neither am I. We're going to go look. Because you can look at the little, screens. We go in, and they had tons of ice creams that I've never seen before. And like ice cream mix-ins and all these things. But they also had cherry tomatoes, like fresh cherry tomatoes, fresh pineapple, and fresh apple slices. Like, not like they do in the U.S. where it's like, here's an apple that's been chemically doused in some kind of craziness. They were like crisp, beautiful apples with the peels. So what did I do about 3 or 4 times? I went to McDonald's and got cherry tomatoes and apples. Like, here's a side dish of cherry tomatoes and apples, and just took them with me and ate them. They also have fruit, what are they called? Frutillas? Oh, now I'm not even going to remember what they were called. But they're little fruit shops, fruits and vegetable shops on the side of the road. And they have gelato. Everywhere you go, they have gelato. I mean, it was like a food lover's paradise. I am telling you, it was so good. There were a couple things that I will never forget from Spain food-wise. Now, we did several Senna samples, which is kind of our side gig. Like, doesn't make us any money, but we love doing it. We like try foods in front of the camera. And we did a couple of those, and most of them were really good. But there was a soup that we had that was like a tomato soup, and they make it cold. Because normally in Spain, it's really, really warm. And they thicken it with bread, from what I understand. And then cover it with bacon and hard-boiled eggs. It was pretty good. It wasn't great. It wasn't craveable or try to make it home. But then we had a fried cheese, like you kind of get at Applebee's, but actually good. And then with the blueberry sauce. And I am telling you something, I had thought about that meal almost every day since we've been home. I'm like, how do I recreate that fried cheese with blueberry sauce? It was so good. It sounds so disgusting. And I thought, let's just try it. It would be kind of wild. And it was so delicious. And then we had a meal right next to the Roman bridge. The Romans came in and built a bridge a long time ago, back when the Romans were in charge of Cordoba. And they built this gorgeous bridge. And we're sitting in a little cafe looking over at the bridge. And Kevin had a piece of toast with avocado, salmon, and like some microgreens on it. And I had mushroom risotto. And I'm telling you, I am not easily won over if you've ever watched my set of samples. It was the best risotto I have ever had in my entire life. It topped every risotto I've ever had. And I've had some pretty good risottos. It was amazing. Like, God was so faithful for my 3 pain points that he just brought us to new levels. Were there days that we had food that I was like, what are we eating? Yes, there were days that you were like, what are we doing? When we were in Avila, it's such a small town and it's an off season that nothing was open. Like, there were no lunch areas open. We did eat at one, and the cheeseburger was raw. Like, I wish I could pretend that it was just, like, kind of raw. No, it was, like, cold in the center, all the way out to the edges raw. I did not eat it. I could not eat it. But we happened to order a dessert before we ordered that, so I did have some chocolate cake. So it wasn't a complete lose. It was a pretty good thing. But I love about traveling for me is that I have to rely on God when I'm traveling, because there are things that are completely out of your control. And it's a time that I pray and I rely on him more than ever before. And as I was walking the streets of Spain, feeling like there were people everywhere and praying for the country, I was humbled that God saw me and took care of my small 3 pain points, that we never got lost. We stayed in great hotels and we had pretty good food 90% of the time. I am telling you that it has changed my perspective of who God is every time I leave the country and every time I travel. Because I realize that in the midst of chaos, he is there. In the midst of everything kind of going wild and you have no control and everything, the sand is slipping through your hands, God is catching the things that are important and saying, I've still got a plan. In fact, 6 years ago today, I lost my job. And this podcast will come out way after this. But the 6 years ago, I did not have a clue what God was going to do. And if I look back and go, wow, God is so faithful. He has done some things I never would have imagined. I have traveled to more countries, more states. My podcast is doing great. My ministry is doing great. I have had the opportunity to stay home and homeschool my daughter. Like, the things that God has allowed me to do in the midst of my brokenness are amazing. And I want you to be encouraged by that, because you may be dealing with complete, utter chaos and brokenness, and God can use it. God is there and has not walked away. He is walking the streets with you. When I was walking through Spain, there were many moments that you're looking up going, wow. And you know that God is here with me in the midst of it. And I just want you to know that he's with you. Well, that's all I have for you this week. I pray that you just see him in the everyday miracles like cherry tomatoes, that you are like, wow, thank you for providing this. I really appreciate it. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook at Real Life with Jenny. You can support this podcast by going below, but also go on, subscribe, like, share this. It makes a huge difference. All those things. I just really appreciate your support in everything that I've done. I just can't even... Anyway, it's just too much for me to even go there without crying. I just really appreciate all of you for listening. You all have a great week, and I pray that you see God walking with you in the midst of your chaos.